Can I just start, George?
Yeah.
It says.
Where's Mitch?
He was
like,
here.
was here, and then he like dipped.
He's
Mitch!
waiting for you at the arch.
Oh my god.
He'll see you at midnight.
Hi, Liz. This is cool.
Hi. Oh my god, Brittany, we haven't talked in so
I
long.
know, we're so overdue.
So
I
weird.
try
Well, I
so
haven't
hard.
talked in-
I'm so bad at keeping up with people. Text us all the time. Okay, like let's chat. Like I'll FaceTime you, and then I just disappear.
No, but I do the same thing. We're just both terrible.
Remember, we used to be pen pals. We used to like write.
I
each
know we
other-
were. Brittany sent me a letter with a note from her dog. Like it had a pop
You did?
from Bentley. Yeah.
Oh God.
Or no, or
That's
you had
so
Bentley like draw me a picture or something. It was really cute.
That's so weird. I have no memory of that.
It was like 3 years ago. We're old.
We are old.
Guys, it's been almost 5 years since we did season
Well,
one.
the dog was a couple months when we played, and he's 5.
Oh my
If you want to feel old.
Yo, that's crazy.
Like we were, what, I was 28 and I'm 25. Yeah, because I
I
turned
was
21.
18.
Oh my god, you're a little
I'm in a different decade now.
Ian over here still doing all the Survivor Michigan stuff.
Not for long. I'm almost done.
Is
Almost
this your
done.
final season?
Yeah, because this was the last one that I was there for. This was Cooper and Leia and Akshay were on it, and after that, I had always said I was like, "That's it, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore."
Can't even imagine how much work that is.
Yeah, I'm kind of a crazy person, I think, but it's
We
been
did
fun.
4 seasons.
When is that? This fall? I honestly like couldn't watch 3 and 4. I watched like a couple episodes of each, and it was just so unhealthy for me. But I feel like I'll have to watch 5.
Yeah, you gotta
not
watch
looking forward to
five.
it.
Mitch,
Hi, sorry. I should be good. I'm good. Hi,
are
Akshay.
you at
Hi-
work?
Hi, Mitch.
I missed all you guys. This is so fun.
I know, it's just crazy.
Did I hear? Wait, Cooper, are you guys rooming together? Yeah, me and Ian. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're out in New York. Yeah.
Along with like half of Survivor Michigan from
Yeah. Aaron, Chloe, Tarowski, all out here. Yeah.
Did I tell you my uncle ran into Tarowski on the street in New York, and he recognized him from the show because he like ran into him, like about a month after it ended.
I
And
feel like I heard this story. That's incredible.
I remember you telling us this.
like pulled him over to the side. It was like 4 years ago.
Liz, remember we were recognized like 2 or 3 times at the Survivor audition, and then that one guy posted on Instagram about meeting us. I still tell my friends to this day, like that's when I peaked in life. I still get DMs from time to time.
Basically, I've just like compiled a list of questions. We asked people to submit stuff online, and then I also like wrote up some stuff I thought would be good. And this is nothing formal. We'll just like talk through it and like reminisce, and everyone have a good time. Seems like you guys are already basically doing it. So first off, I think we should have everybody introduce themselves. Who you are, what you've been doing since Survivor Michigan. Cooper, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Cooper. Let's see. Since Survivor Michigan season 1 aired, what did I do? Well, my big accomplishment is I went on to host seasons 2, 3, and 4. So that's my big thing, claim to fame. But no, I graduated college. I'm out in New York now. Yeah, living my best life. I've been graduated like 2 years, which is wild, but yeah, happy to see all these friendly faces that I haven't seen in a while.
All right, who's next? Who's next?
Ian, I feel like you have to call on people.
Okay, Brittany, you want to go next? You're next on my screen. So
Should I volunteer? Oh gosh, I feel so old right now. This is so weird. Well, I was a senior during season 1, so I graduated all the way back in 2018. I'm still here in Michigan. I just finished my 3rd year of med school a couple days ago, about to start my 4th and final year, and I'll be applying to residency soon, starting that next spring. It's been a time for sure, especially during COVID, but I love it. Doing well.
awesome. Akshay, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I was a first semester freshman. I was the young one back then. So I had 3.5 more years of college, but I did graduate a year ago. And as I was telling a few people before we started recording, I literally just got a new job 3 days ago. So I'm going to be a data analyst at an esports company now, and I'm in Virginia.
Congrats, dude.
Thank you.
All right, Liz, you're next.
Hello, my name is Liz. And oh my gosh, it's so cool to hear about what you guys are all doing. I mean, I knew kind of what Brittany was doing, but anyway, I'm just so proud of everyone. I graduated in 2018 also. I was also a senior. And I've moved across the country a few times, and I'm currently living on Martha's Vineyard. I'm an education coordinator for an arboretum, which is like a public garden. So yeah.
Like Brittany and Liz, I was also a senior during our first season of Survivor. So I graduated 2018 and sold out, and now I'm working at a bank in Chicago. So life hasn't been like super like interesting or fascinating, but just doing my day job. And yeah, I live downtown with my girlfriend and our cat. So
He says life hasn't been interesting, but didn't you just hike Mount Kilimanjaro or something?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I saw that.
And you have a cat. That sounds really interesting.
yes, yeah, we climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and then I got really bad food poisoning. So they had to stretcher me down the mountain for 10 hours. And then I flew to Amsterdam, and it was a debacle, but we made it to the top. So that's all that matters.
And he says his life isn't interesting.
You got
That's like
so you got
such a niche thing to have.
Medevac.
yeah, you got medevac.
I literally, yeah, it was pretty scary, but we made it. So I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah, geez, I'm glad you're okay. So season 1 was filmed almost 5 years ago, this fall. So that's kind of crazy. Like, what do you guys think about that? You know, is it strange to you that this is still a thing that's sort of like going on? Like, people are still watching it, and they're still coming out with it. You know, did you ever expect that when you first joined?
I feel like we're one of the most popular Survivor franchises amongst colleges, which is pretty cool. And I've watched a couple. I watched season 2 and like a little of 3, and I felt like our season was still the best compared to the days.
Oh yeah.
You know, our season was good.
I mean, it wasn't super weird just because like I remember when George put out the first like application on Facebook, because that was a thing. He put out season 4 of Survivor Maryland. So I just kind of expected this to turn into a multi-season thing. And then because I was the young one, you know, I stayed all the way through the filming of season 7. So I know that, you know, we're gonna be here a long time.
I just was going to say, I think it's so cool how much it has evolved. Like, it started just with George and Claire, and I think some of their parents, like, and a couple of their friends here and there, and that was it. Like, pretty much just the 2 of them. And then a bunch of us did season 2 on production, but there were under 10 of us, maybe like 7, 8, 6.
Yeah.
There was barely any of us. And even that, like, we weren't that, we were organized, but, I was like hauling tennis balls, still haven't gotten those back for challenges. We were taking stuff from our homes, doing random props. It was just like, a casual little thing. And now I've heard there's all these little committees within committees, and you guys have, your big leagues now.
Oh yeah, the bureaucracy has expanded dramatically since you guys' day.
It's the whole process now. I don't know what they did after us, but they made it more complicated.
Did you guys know, like, when you signed up for it, did you know like how intense it was going to be?
I kind of figured it was going to be sort of intense. Like the people that are like signing up for this are the people who are like mostly pretty big Survivor fans. So like I had a feeling it wasn't just going to be like, I don't know, people were going to be into it. I was pretty sure of that.
So I have a very different perspective because I had no idea what I was getting into. I remember I showed up the first day and it was pouring rain and I couldn't see everyone. So I thought maybe other people didn't show up. And I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of a weird thing anyway. Maybe I'll just kind of walk off. I didn't think anyone was even there. And then I saw everyone huddled under a building somewhere. So I was like, I guess there are other people who are really into Survivor. I didn't know that there were people who were that into it. But yeah, I don't know. I think the way it is now, I don't know if I could do it. It just seems really stressful, but it was kind of fun going into it, not having any preconceived idea of what it would be.
It was, I will say that like, I remember watching our season and someone was like, oh, you could tell the final 7 were like really into it. I was 8th, so I kind of took offense to that statement, but like, they all really deserve to win. And I like, it was intense even when I was in the game, but I think I was the last person who got eliminated that didn't cry. Like every single one of the top 7 cried at different times, either at their elimination or like just because the game was getting so intense, or every single tribal in certain cases. So it was just like, got way more intense emotionally than I think I was expecting it to be at all.
Yeah, like looking back on it now with all the time that's passed, do you guys have different feelings about all of that than you did at the time?
No. You guys texted about this and I had another Survivor dream last night, so no.
Yeah, who still has Survivor dreams?
I mean, it went away for a while, but no, I mean, obviously I'm not thinking about gameplay 5 years later, but I mean, it still sticks with you. Even actually talking about crying, I'm like in my head, like memories flooding about actually talking about me crying. You know, it's all still there. Like
I don't want to call you out this time, but yeah.
Could have been yesterday.
I mean, I think I'm less pissed at people like 5 years later. You know, I think I've forgiven everyone at this point. So there's that. I mean, yeah, just everyone talking about the emotional aspect of it. It was really intense. Like I remember, I mean, people were genuinely upset with each other. It seems like now maybe there's some cast drama. I mean, I'm so removed from it, but people for the most part are friends. And I think after our season, like there were some real hurt feelings. I don't know. It was
Who do you guys think whose feelings were like the most hurt, or who was the most annoyed?
I mean, I was devastated.
Like immediately
It's
after
Liz.
their vote out?
I don't even think we need to say
Just in
anything.
general.
It's Liz.
Immediately after their vote out was Liz. For sure.
Me and Cooper spent like 2 hours in a car right after Liz's vote out,
Yeah,
just like
Cooper, actually,
talking
oh
with
my
her.
God, yeah, wow.
I was gonna go more in order, but I guess we could just skip to that since we've like brought it up. So like, if you look at, you know, YouTube comments or what people say on Twitter or whatever, beyond just the vote out of like you getting voted out at Final 6, just like the line, it's Liz is probably like the most, that's what people think about when they think about Survivor Michigan writ large, you know, despite all the other seasons, whatever.
Wow.
That seems like it's just like the all-time iconic line. So like, what were you guys all thinking, I guess, when that happened, you know?
I was like shocked because I just didn't think it made any sense for Thal to do that. So like, I was really confused. I mean, I was no offense, I was happy because like it was either going to be you or one of like me or Leia or Brittany, but I was like, why is he doing this? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And so then I kind of blame myself after the fact of not even realizing how close the Alexes were, because like I should have known at 5, you know, how close they were. And I guess it didn't really matter in terms of how the game played out because Thal went next, and then, you know, we know how the final 3 worked out. But it was, yeah, just like I felt bad for Liz, not because like, you know, you made the decisions you made, but Thal's decision just wasn't right. And so I think you got kind of screwed by that.
I mean, I was ready to go to Rocks because I had nothing to lose at that point. So I kind of wanted my moment of going to Rocks and 50%.
We were shocked on the side, and those were genuine. I know a lot of people thought I was acting to get on camera. Those were our genuine reactions. I was just absolutely shocked that, first off, that Liz didn't play the idol on herself, and then it was a tie, and then it the deadlock got broken by It's Liz. It was just every single moment of that tribal, I was completely shocked.
Yeah, actually, we were talking on the jury. George came over to us while they were all talking,
Yeah.
and we were like, the three of us were trying to like figure out what was like going to happen, and we like mostly thought that it was like, I think the two of us thought that it was just going to for sure go to rocks.
Yeah, because we were like, Thal is completely safe. This would make Liz safe. Like, this would be a good decision for them theoretically, and then
Yeah.
Did you get angry with Thal about it when you joined the jury, Liz, or like did that ever?
Was
there ever
I
like
angry? With
yeah, like was there a conversation between you guys about it?
That's an interesting question. Oh yeah, no, I was livid with Thal. I mean, I was so upset. Like Akshay and Cooper know better than anyone, but I kind of went through so many stages of emotions. At first I was just in complete shock. Like I so did not think that would happen. And then I remember that night I couldn't sleep because I just kept like thinking about how dumb I was. I was like, how did I not see that? Why did I do that? I remember texting Tarowski. I don't think I was even supposed to be talking to him because I was out of the game, but I remember texting Tarowski and saying, like, I never want to talk to Thal again. But you know what? But then I think once Thal got on the jury, we all went out for milkshakes that night, and I'm the quickest person to forgive people. Like I'll be so mad for like a day and then I'm just totally over it. So we talked and it was like, kind of water under the bridge. I mean, I was still mad for a while, but not as mad. But he would text me like every day and say, like, I'm so sorry. He texted me for like a month. Just, I'm sorry. We can move on from my traumatic moment, but just to wrap that up, I just want to say, yeah, I don't have any hard feelings toward anyone anymore. Like as much as I was just shitting on Thal for what he did 5 years ago, it's cool now.
Mitch, do you still have a sinus infection?
No, I did get surgery though. So yeah, that was nasty. They had to like put me under, clear out my nose. It was really bad. And I do think it was from the cinnamon challenge. Like
You had to get surgery, you think, because of that challenge?
I really do. Yeah, I really do.
I'll reveal something about that challenge. Like I remember I looked it up right before, and then like I saw all the articles that like this is actually super dangerous. Don't actually try and swallow cinnamon. So I remember when I filmed it, I pretended like I was swallowing, but I actually just like blew it out because I was like, there's no chance in hell I'm actually going to try and swallow this. And when I heard Mitch's story, I was like, thank God I didn't even try. And I just fully faked that.
So you cheated. Anyone else want to admit
100%.
who else cheated during the season? Like we're all amongst friends here. You can come clean now. Anybody?
Ooh.
Just Akshay.
There's a couple other things
I
that
don't think
like,
there's anything to cheat in.
there's a couple of things where I didn't like cheat, but like, I remember there was like certain injuries or like sicknesses that I was injured and I was sick. But I super like dramatized how injured or how sick I was because I was so terrified of one specific challenge, which was steal the bacon. And I was like, just looking around, I'm the smallest dude. I'm the least athletic dude. Most of the girls are taller than me. Like, I'm going to suck at this challenge. So like whenever I was sick and they were like, we have an outdoor challenge, I would super be like, I'm the most sick human being on earth, and just like coughing and hacking when I wasn't. I was like, yeah, it was okay. Like I sort of felt like sniffly, but that's it. So yeah, did that multiple times during the season. Whenever they said there was an outdoor challenge, I was like, I'm sick or I'm injured. One of those two things is happening.
I will say, to go off what Mitch was saying about his sinuses, but people say like, oh, College Survivor, it's nothing like real Survivor because, we have access to food and housing and everything. I don't think people realize, like, if you're playing intensely and making it your entire life, how much it can affect not only like your mental health, but physical health. It took me, not exaggerating, like 2 years to like get back to my state of health. I'll just say that because we were so busy that semester. I mean, not only with like school, research, volunteering, trying to have a social life, playing Survivor. I think I had a puppy who couldn't be left alone. And so I was just like eating Nutella at night, like not having proper nutrition. And that took me years. Like, wish I was exaggerating, like to recover from. It was so unhealthy.
it was also really tough during the game. Like I remember from basically like final like 7 on, I like wasn't even sleeping at all. Like not even like remote amount of sleep. And it was like physically, like even though we had food and shelter and all that, like I remember just being completely exhausted by the end. It was like way harder physically than I thought it would be.
Yeah, the fact that you're just thinking about this constant thing for literally like 3 months of your life, like basically nonstop. And you're thinking about it like when you wake up, you're thinking about it when you go to bed, you're thinking about it when you're going to class, like it doesn't leave you for like 3 months.
Thinking about it in your dreams years later.
Yeah,
when it never
you start having survivor like dreams. It's basically your life for 3 months.
I think the other thing people don't realize is they'll be like watching and say like, okay, why don't you just like lie or do this or do that? Like another major difference is like you're inviting people into like your home, like the place where you live. Maybe I only saw it this way, but I'm like, okay, like I'm having Liz over. This point, like she's my friend, like not just someone I'm playing with. And then I have to lie to her. Like sometimes you can't, because it's just like crossing that boundary. I mean, you have someone over, you're like talking about life, you give them food, like drinks, and then what, you're supposed to lie to them? Like that's just not.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I think that really separates it too from being a game that's like 39 days, or I guess now it's shorter. I honestly haven't watched it
26
since I played
26.
College Survivor because I was like so traumatized for a while. But anyway, but it's so different because it's like 100 days or whatever. It's a whole semester. So it just goes on for so long. And so it sort of permeates your life. And then you're also living regular life at the same time. So it's weird because it's weird to go like from regular life where you're being a normal person to then have to lie to people. And yeah, it's just very odd to come to terms with in your brain.
And then like another super unique thing to me was that I didn't tell my family that I was playing. Actually, to this day, only my sister even knows that I played Survivor Michigan, and Mitch was the one that revealed that to her by accident and not me. So like, I to this day have not chosen to reveal that I played Survivor Michigan to my family or anyone, which made it really hard during the course of the season when I wanted to decompress and just like talk out Survivor things to like someone not in Survivor. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't just call like someone who was 100% supportive of me on my side and just talk about what was going on. I didn't have anyone to do that with. So that kind of sucked.
Do you guys, going a bit off what Akshay just said, like how many people outside of like the little Survivor world, like your regular friends, like know about this, or like your coworkers or Mitch, like your girlfriend, or people who weren't around back then, do they know about this? And if so, like, what do they think about it? Do they think it's some crazy thing you did?
One of my girlfriend's friends from business school, who she became friends with this year, had watched it and knew me before I even met her in person. And so we went to dinner once and she didn't bring it up at dinner until like after the fact. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's seen me. Like, but it's like a weird feeling when you meet somebody for the first time and they already know like a lot about you. So that was a little traumatic. But yeah, like all of my college roommates knew, like all my family knew. I feel like even coworkers know. I don't know if they've watched it, but like I feel like they know.
When we were doing it in college, I just remember all of my friends were always so annoyed. They were like, oh, you have to go do your cult thing now. Because they wanted me to hang out. And I was like, I have to go to this tribal council. And they were like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, now I don't really, I tried to get my boyfriend to watch it, but he was like, I don't understand what this is. It's so weird. So
I was just going to say I like using it as a fun fact, but then I don't want them to actually watch it. So it's like, my entire extended family has seen it. All of my friends have seen it. And then a couple of my classmates have actually gone and watched it without telling me. And then they'll like come and tell me after. But I share it every now and then, but at the same time, I don't want them watching it. So it's like, I'm always like a foot in and like a foot out with this whole Survivor thing.
It works out well though, because like when they watch it, they only watch like the first episode and maybe the second and then your vote out episode. And so like my worst episodes are the ones where I'm attacking Brittany. No one watches those at all. It's fantastic.
Do you guys think you'll show your kids?
Sure.
Definitely.
If they find it, they find it. I'm not pointing it out to them.
It's also weird because I've thought about how it's sort of a time capsule of your like college time a little bit. Like it's always some weird kind of, you can go back and watch a whole semester of your life. It's very odd in that way, I feel like.
Even watching the little reels you guys have been posting on Instagram, because I haven't seen these videos in forever. I'm like, whoa, like I look so different back then.
Do you guys have a favorite memory from the whole experience or anything to do with it really?
Kissing Mitch.
Favorite memory. I hate to say this in front of Cooper, but like the final 7 was such a fun night. And even though
No, it
like
was not.
it was memorable. Like it wasn't fun. And I remember at the time being stressed and not happy, but like at the same time, it was just so perfectly chaotic. And like, I think it encapsulated that season.
Does anyone else have a favorite memory that also involves Cooper getting voted out? That's my favorite memory.
No.
That was this is about you guys, but we like, from our point of view, like I didn't know, me and Cooper's friends, we didn't know anything about Survivor. We didn't know what any of this was. And to us, it was just, yeah, what you're saying, like Leia and Cooper being annoying all semester, not wanting to hang out with us, talking about like, oh, Tarowski, like all the time. And like the way they use that word, I remember just being like, they would say it in the same vein as how people would say like Voldemort or something. Like it was like, oh, like goddamn Tarowski, like got us again and stuff. And then I've been telling Cooper the whole time, like, yeah, you can't trust Leia, whatever. And then we were hanging out at Leia's apartment. We heard Cooper gets voted out. We were expecting Cooper to walk in and just also like shit talk him and be like, oh, we told you. And then he walks in just bawling. And I remember we all looked at each other, we were just like, oh shit, this is like a lot more serious than we thought it was. And that was like the moment we realized like how seriously everyone had been taking it.
It was very different on the jury because I was on the jury with Angela and Kara at that point. And Kara, if anyone knows, probably still blames Cooper to this day for ruining Neela. For whatever reason, like Kara just had like a death wish on Cooper from the moment she got rocked out, which is like semi my fault too. But I guess like when I got voted out, she didn't care. When Cooper got voted out, she was like, ha, take that. Like she was so excited that it was Cooper going home. Like that's why she came to that tribal, because Kara didn't come to many tribals on the jury. But the reason she came to that one was because someone in the game, one of the Alexes, told her that there was a chance Cooper was getting voted out. So she was like, great, I gotta go. So it was a little different on the jury. I think I was the only one that wasn't happy that Cooper was eliminated on the jury.
I think the jury was my favorite part. It was so much fun, like driving around in my car and gossiping about everything that was happening, but not having to be stressed about it.
I was jealous, honestly, because at that point I knew I wasn't winning and I was so jealous. I'm like, why don't I get this experience?
Yeah, Liz would bring like blankets and warmers for us only. There was like champagne brought for just
I was
the
bitter
jury.
at that point.
It was great.
4 challenge while we were all freezing. I remember you guys were just in that car.
We were like drinking hot chocolate and like watching you guys.
You're just sitting there shaking.
So one question we get a lot, which I'm curious to you guys' opinion on, is who would have won the game in a Brittany, Mitch, Leia final 3?
Ooh.
You're making me think about this.
I think about this a lot, actually.
Leia would have won.
I think Cooper would have convinced enough people to get Leia to win, but it would have actually been really close, because I know that the Alexes were probably never voting Leia and probably not voting Mitch. Kara was definitely not voting Mitch, and I don't know if she would have voted for Leia. Liz is here, so I'll let her speak for herself. Cooper.
No, actually, I want to know what you think I would have.
I have no clue what you would have done. You're literally like, I have no clue, because you were the closest connected to all 3 of them, so I literally have no idea. Cooper, I assume, is just voting Leia, and we move on. And then I remember Brittany telling me like right after it ended, she was like, I wish that was the final 3 because I think I had your vote, talking to me. And I was like, did you? Like I didn't think about it at that time because it was like, I didn't need to. I needed to figure out of the existing final 3 who I was voting for. But thinking back on it, I could see myself voting for Leia because Cooper convinced me. I could see myself voting for Brittany if she played her game out at Final Tribal. And I could see myself potentially voting for Mitch if Leia and Brittany don't have good Final Tribal. So I have no clue who wins in that situation, honestly.
Well, Liz, who would you have voted for?
Well, I think at the time, and this is awkward to say in front of Brittany and Mitch.
Oh, it would have been Leia.
But this is like at the time in, my perception of the game at that moment, I probably would have voted Leia. But I actually also think Tarowski and Thal were going to vote Leia if Leia was in the final three. I feel like
I thought like Thal and Leia, or like Tarowski and Leia had some sort of like weird.
Oh, Tarowski
rivalry.
and Leia definitely have some beef that I don't really understand. But I think he still would have voted for her. I think. But I could be wrong. You can ask them on Monday or whatever.
I will ask them. We'll find out.
I feel like I remember talking to them about. I think we were all planning on voting Leia, but I could be wrong.
I think it could have been a 3-2-2 potentially, like if depending on how it plays out. Like that's how close it could have been.
What was the most surprising thing that you found out about one of the other players like after the show? Or like who was the most different in real life compared to like the game?
Well, I was shocked that Mitch and Leia were so close, but I guess that's a game thing. That's not necessarily outside of the game, but that's the only thing I remember being just shocked by. Well, and Tarowski and Thal being so close, which I feel stupid not realizing that.
Like, can we discuss, sorry, tangent. Like one night, like, okay, I know this was 5 years ago, but of course you like remember every single little thing because we're nuts. Like that was our life for 100 days. But there was one time I was in the car, I was driving with the two of them, and Thal made me drop him off in the dark. It was late at night in an intersection or a church parking lot. Like it was not safe. Like I know Ann Arbor, whatever. It was not a safe area. He made me drop him off absolutely nowhere. And then I kept driving and dropped Tarowski off at his house. Like, how do you not know that they lived together?
How did they decide like who would get dropped off at the house and who would not?
It was Tarowski's house. It was supposed to be Tarowski's house where they lived, and Thal just lived in some unknown location. That no one ever went
Did
to.
none of you guys ever ask like where Thal lived, or did he
He
have
said
some
he lived
story?
so far away it was pointless going to.
Right. But me being like the Jewish mother that I was, I'm like, okay, like where do you live? I am taking you to, I remember this like bickering back and forth in the car. And I'm like, I'm taking you to your house, but no.
I was a first semester freshman and he probably told me exactly where he lived and I still wouldn't have any clue what the hell he was talking about.
When we like at the time of season 1, Cooper was not 21 and like we didn't like go to like bars and stuff all the time. But when we did turn 21, Cooper refused to go to MASH, the bar where you and Thal like randomly ran into each other because he blamed that for him losing the game. He was like, if that hadn't happened, and he would insist on us not going to that bar for like years afterwards. True story.
It was partially that, partially it's just not my favorite bar, but
That's what he started using this, oh, it's not my favorite bar thing eventually because he realized how ridiculous it sounded. But
they go hand in hand. One's an excuse to just not, it's an excuse to just not go there. They both work.
Brittany, who did you dislike more at your peak, me or Akshay?
Now I'm remembering that confessional I had where I used the word suck like over and over again about him. Oh, that was so bad. I had no vocabulary at all. Yeah, I feel like the Mitch thing, like I went at that for a while, right? But then I like really needed to align with you. And then it ended up, working out at the end. So yeah, no, definitely.
That one confessional cracks me up every time I watch it.
Definitely
Mitch the
Akshay
snitch,
thing.
Mitch the you know what.
God. See, I blacked that all out. No, the Akshay thing, I think that does go back to like why watching wasn't the most enjoyable thing, because there were a lot of viewers who watched and were convinced that like they're actually like someone would actually like physically harm another person, and they were commenting that. And
I
I'm
was
like,
shocked
okay,
how
like,
many people were on my side on that.
like,
So, like,
and I'm just
did
like,
you-
okay, like
let's get the answer on this. Like, Akshay, did you truly believe that you had been kicked, or did you make it up?
There was contact for sure with my back at some point.
Oh my
I don't
God.
think there was a kick at any point. I think Brittany was literally behind me and was like adjusting her foot and my back got touched and I was like, did you just kick me? Like I was just going in on it. Just for the drama and for like really bad strategy as I've gone over. But did I ever realistically think that Brittany of all people like took her foot and just jammed it in my back? No chance in hell did I think that actually happened.
wish I was that strong. No.
What was your guys' reaction to Claire getting on Big Brother? If you have any reaction to that.
Can we discuss the fact she's on The Amazing Race right now, or you got to cut that out?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think we're. I
Wait,
don't
she's
know.
on The Amazing Race?
I didn't know that
swear,
actually.
Yeah,
Amazing
yeah,
Race
she is. Yeah,
right
she
now?
is.
Like,
Yeah.
With Derek X, I assume.
People
Yeah.
are posting like on their Instagrams, I think, like to throw us off, but she's definitely on there.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
for her.
Yeah, they were spotted filming in The Amazing Race. Her
That's
and Derek.
awesome. That's so cool. That like this girl I met like literally day one. I texted her and I'm like, where the heck is everyone when it was raining? And she was like, they're under this dome and like holding this like light blue umbrella. Is on TV on shows that I've watched since childhood. That's so cool, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's great. And Claire was always really supportive of the girls. So she was awesome because George, I love George. So I would never say anything bad about George, but he's in love with Alex Stahl. And so he was a little team Thal and Tarowski. And I think Claire would stick up for the girls a lot. So I love them both. I mean, I didn't know Claire as well, but she's cool.
So like speaking of that, some people wanted to know if you guys have seen any of the recent Survivor seasons and like what you think of any of them, or did playing Survivor Michigan like turn you off of Survivor and you're like, don't watch it anymore?
I still watch every season. I thought the most recent one was really good. I thought it was like one of the best that's been in a while. Trying to remember who won though. Who won?
Marianne.
Oh yeah. She was
a
good.
second too.
I thought she deserved it. I liked her over Mike. I thought Mike played a better game, but then at Tribal didn't explain himself well.
I
Brittany,
think
didn't you like stop watching Survivor for like a lot of seasons after season 1? Or am I just making that up?
Who,
Did you
me?
say my name?
Brittany, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the bigger fans of Survivor, like going in. I mean, bigger. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. Like every single episode since before elementary school, like on time, every season. And then it ended in our season. I think if our season like hadn't aired on YouTube, maybe I would have viewed it differently. I think just seeing myself out there, I don't know, wasn't the most positive experience. And then I think I started med school and that got in the way. But I caught up on all the seasons over my breaks. And this was the first season that I got to watch on time, like on Wednesday nights, which was nice. I liked this past season, the one before, and then 40 was Winners at War, so 39 and 41, not a fan of. I mean, I'm more like old school though, so I just like seeing like the relationships and everything, and so I don't like all these, twists that are just repetitive and kind of pointless.
So you guys said that you like didn't really keep up with like Survivor Michigan, see some of the later seasons. So how much do any of you guys know about like All Stars or how Cooper, any of these guys, Akshay, any of these guys did?
Oh, I know. Actually,
You
I know. I mean, I'm just going to spoil, so you'll have to cut it out. But
You know, one funny thing, I don't know anything about like how Cooper or
I mean,
Akshay did,
I don't
but I kind of know Jackson a little bit. And so I know a little bit about what happened because
Wait, how do you know Jackson?
because my sister was in law school at the time when I was a senior, my sister was in law school with Jackson, and so they were friends. So I met Jackson through my sister.
Oh.
So they were like in a friend group, and so I heard a little bit about stuff from her friends. So I know, but it's so funny because the way he is, or at least from what I've seen in the preview, is like not what I thought of him.
Jackson's quite a character in the show, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. It'll be funny to watch. I
was
don't
just
know
really
that well, but
happy for Sarah Gallagher to get to play again because she
that'll be cool.
she like really cared about the game, and that was pretty sad for her. You know, that could have been any of us who went out first. I was glad that she gets another try.
Yeah, Ian, I know you asked favorite memories earlier. That was my favorite memory, voting out Sarah Gallagher first, because that was Cooper and I were basically in control of that vote, and we knew Sarah Gallagher was going to be such a big threat. But then when she came back on production season 2, like that was the first time I actually got to know Sarah Gallagher, and I was like, wait, I really like this person. Now I'm upset that she got, like, we voted her out first. Like that was our fault, and we did it. So when I saw her, I actually didn't know she was going to be on All Stars till the day that we started All Stars. And when I saw her day one, like I was super excited. I gave her a big hug. It didn't even like dawn on me that like, oh yeah, I voted her out. Like I'm the reason she was gone first. But it was just like, oh my God, Sarah Gallagher, this is so great. For sure.
Oh, I need y'all to make like a spreadsheet. Like I need a diagram of all of the drama. I just want to
The
wanna
prelim,
know.
like a preseason diagram. Of,
Well,
like,
like, do you know
who
that
made it through.
Jackson's big thing in All Stars is he's like secretly dating this other girl, and no
Yeah,
one
so
knows
that's
it.
something I had heard about. I knew about that.
Does any of you guys have anything else you really need to get off your chest? You've been keeping it in, or I don't know. It's good to see everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well.
Just want to emphasize to everyone, Brittany is one of the greatest human beings on earth. I love her. She's one of my favorite people from season 1. Anyone who watches season 1 know that Brittany is an amazing human being.
Oh, I second that. I mean,
Thank
I
you.
really think that like the one thing that you don't see a lot is just how like everyone is so nice out of this cast. I feel like they showed a lot of scenes of Mitch saying stuff that didn't come across well or whatever, but Mitch is like the sweetest person. Like if you actually knew him. So I mean, I think, like any show, it's just edited down to, a little snippet of someone's personality. But I mean, everyone is so great. Yeah, it's really nice to see you all. I don't know, it's so weird. It's been so long.
Oh, thank you guys for doing this. It was super, super cool to see all you guys. I think the fans, the people who watch this stuff are going to be really into it because they have a special place in their heart for season 1, despite my best efforts to top it with the later seasons. But yeah, so I think this is really cool, honestly. And it was just good to see everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys in Chicago. Most of you guys, Brittany too now that I found out as
4 weeks. I'm coming.
I have little faith that Liz is ever going to make it to Chicago.
But I'm gonna make it to
Liz
Chicago.
is
Didn't even make it to New York.
Wait, are you saying Liz or Leia?
Liz.
Liz.
Why-
Oh, I'll come to Chicago. Why do you think I'm not going to
Oh, you're
Chicago?
not going to go to New York, which is like
Okay,
away.
okay. No, but I have friends in Chicago, including
Alright.
you.
Damn, Cooper. She just said she wasn't friends.
Oh my
with
god,
you.
wait, I didn't mean it like I have friends in Chicago, but not in New York. just ignore everything I'm saying.
Cooper, Ian, Tarowski, she just doesn't care about you.
I'm
That's what she
digging
just
myself
said.
a bigger hole.
You'll come visit me in suburban Michigan.
I did visit you in suburban.
You did. You drove all the way here. That was fun.
Come to the DMV.
Oh my God! Oh, look at you!
What's going on, Big J?
We both have the mustache and the shirt combo.
Did we plan this? Oh my
Wow,
lord.
I really missed the memo on this one.
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
hell?
Ian, we'll give you time to change if you want.
Yeah, just whatever.
But how's it going, big guy?
Oh my God! Look at you. It's like midnight where you are, right?
Yeah, midnight 01. But I'm here. I'm awake. I'm wired. I'm so excited.
Unreal. I went through some digging of some old stuff that will be fun to hopefully share with you guys that I just found in like all the old secret documents and files. So
Oh, excellent.
what's up?
Hey,
Hello.
Matthew.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Long time no see.
Seriously.
It's so
What's up?
wild. We're so old now. What the hell?
It happens. It happens.
Most of us like we got in and then like graduated right after. So I feel like so many faces have changed because we were already like on the peak of like becoming an adult. So it's so weird.
Once the people who were freshmen in season 1 graduated, that's when I was like, oh yeah, it's been a little bit. Like
Yeah, I see stuff all the time on
graduated,
I see stuff on like Instagram and stuff of Survivor Michigan stuff. I'm like, man, I don't know a single person. I know like some people like here and there, but no one that I've like physically like met for an extended amount of time. And I'm like, what the hell? Like this is so different than it was before, which I mean it evolved immediately, so whatever. But you
I
guys
think we gotta do a few more, like mix up the groups a little bit. Like I gotta see what's up with Brittany. I need to.
I wanted to do everybody, but like it was just with the schedules, it just seemed like it wasn't going to be possible at the same time. But that we'll do that for the 10-year anniversary.
there he is.
How's it go? I didn't realize I needed to update my Zoom before I could join the meeting. So I had to do that real quick. But good to see you all.
Hello.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at this sausage fest in here, huh?
Yeah, the gender balance is not great with this one.
Hey.
Hello.
How did the other one of these go?
The other one was good. It was good. It was a lot of juicy conversations. So we'll see if you guys can live up to them.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Obviously.
Everyone looks exactly the same. So
except for the mustaches.
The mustaches?
No, other than the mustache. Yeah, other than the mustaches.
Big mustache.
So I feel like let's just start with, where's everybody at these days? What have they done since season 1 ended? It's just a little catch up. You want to start off, Thal?
Graduated. I moved back to LA where I'm from. I was living at my folks' place for a year, saving up some money at a job. And then I left and moved to Berlin. That's where I live now. That was like 6 months before COVID happened. So I've been sort of stuck here, but in a good way. I'm really enjoying living here. Not sure when I'm going to move back, but probably will eventually. Things are good.
And what are you doing in Berlin?
I do a myriad of things for work right now. I'm like a project manager. And for fun, I'm doing like some little creative projects here and there and hanging out and trying to have a good time. It's summer right now. It's outrageously hot out. So a lot of like swimming in lakes and trying to find air conditioning in Europe, which is really difficult.
So coy, so laid back though. Wow, what a guy. Just so I do a myriad of things. I have fun. I just swear.
All right, George, how about you? What have you been up to, since you left Survivor Michigan all those years ago to never return?
Yeah, I also graduated, which I think all of us here have done, and got old and grew a mustache. And I have here and there helped out with some stuff still back with Survivor Michigan. Ann Arbor calls to me every year, it feels, and I'm always there. I'm just, working from home, and hopefully that will never change. It's the one good thing that came out of the pandemic. Hanging out and still watching a lot of Survivor and Big Brother. You can see the Big Brother little thing right here in the background. Wow. Yeah, you can't really read it, but that does say Big Brother on it. I am a fan. This bowl?
We have no idea what you're looking at.
What are you talking about?
Can you see my video?
Yeah, what are you pointing at?
Yeah, but what are you pointing at?
There's a green bowl.
Oh, it's a bowl.
That's so far away, dude. There's no way we could possibly see that.
If you pin his video, you can see it, but otherwise.
I don't have a 4K thing on my laptop. I can't, sorry. There's a Big Brother, take my word for it, there is Big Brother merchandise in my household, okay? That is a very thing.
What is a Big Brother bowl?
It's just a bowl that has the words Big Brother on it. I'm just
memorabilia.
Yeah, it's a classic memorabilia. But yeah, I've just been I've been hanging out, and still fandom is super strong.
All right, Matthew, how about you? What have you been up to since season 1?
Well, hopefully most people who are watching this know that I played in season 4, so I hung around for a little bit, and then I did a master's for 1 year and hung around for a little bit more, but that was still a little while ago. So I graduated with my master's right around when COVID started. So since then I've been very busy working as an accountant, as an auditor, so just looking at a lot of financials and stuff like that. I got my CPA license, still live in Ann Arbor here with my girlfriend, so that's fun to still kind of have one foot in the college life by living in Ann Arbor, but also be a working man and commuting every single day. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Like George said, still very much into Survivor and helping out with Survivor Michigan here and there, but also, much, like I said, a working man. So trying to stay that way. So
awesome. And Tarowski, how about you?
Let's see. I've just been basking in my glory for the past 5 years. After graduation, I moved to New York. I still live there. I was in Manhattan for a bit. Now I live in Brooklyn. I do financy stuff for my work. Let's see. I sometimes show up to the NYC Survivor Michigan group meetups, and yeah, that's how I spend my time.
And last but certainly not least, Sarah, what have you been up to?
Still mourning that first tribal council, like 6 years later. No, I was a senior like the rest of the people who played. Actually, all 5 of us were all seniors that year. So I graduated, and then I was working for a year, and then I did a master's for 2 years in Ann Arbor again, finished that, and I've been working. I live in Atlanta now, so I'm working at the CDC, which is a little bit interesting during the pandemic, but I do violence prevention, so it's nothing related to COVID. And, just lose some rights every now and then, but other than that, things are going well. I'm pretty into the New York Times games now, which I don't know if any of you do, but I do the crossword most days now. And do you know what spelling bee is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay, we got one. Well, I was a queen bee today, which means I found all the words. That was the first time it happened.
Whoa.
Do you Wordle? Do you Wordle as well?
Yeah, I do Wordle, but
that's more mainstream.
Yeah, that doesn't take up as much of my time as I'm interested in taking up during the workday. So
I do Quirtle now. Does anyone do that one?
Wow.
Yeah,
I do that one as well.
We're really dating this podcast. We are dating it hard. Like 5 months from now, none of these will exist.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
dude,
the only one that
Wordle's-
will exist is Fibble. Anyone playing Fibble?
What is that?
What?
It's like Wordle, but every time the computer lies about every round it like lies about a different letter.
Oh,
It's like the Survivor version of
You
Wordle.
would. Yeah, you would.
That's interesting.
I do Weddle, which is NFL players, so not as exciting.
These are made up. This is all nothing.
They need like Survivor Michigan Wordle or whatever, where it's all
there's
Survivor
one
Michigan.
Wordle that I do, which is Harry Potter Wordle.
Wow, there were so many. Holy
What
cow.
would the Survivor Michigan one be called?
What an incredible question that the audience.
Victor's Verdle.
Wendell.
Whatever.
Wendell.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like
thought someone would catch on to that one.
George, since we got you here, how did this all get started all those years ago? And do you have anything you can say about the subject that you have not said previously?
Oh goodness. I mean, since the last time I talked about it, our Sarah's good friend Claire got on Big Brother. Sarah's friend Claire. Wow, what a legend, huh? Claire legitimately came out of nowhere in my life. Her and I started this like we didn't even see each other before the first day. We contacted each other through a mutual friend, and so really Survivor Michigan came out of nowhere. Like it was just like it was both of our senior years. We really wanted to do something, and it really came like a truck and was put together in a few months. And it was just something that I'll never be able to experience just like that again. We had so many applicants I was not expecting, because really the only people who had done this and seen success was Maryland. I mean, there are many other universities who had done it and put some stuff up on YouTube, but Maryland, University of Maryland really did a big stride there with the general like Survivor community. And they didn't have this huge application buzz. It was mainly, people that were just like friends, colleagues or people that lived in the same whatever. And so when we put it together, we're like, we're just going to like put it out at every possible place we can. And Michigan's like really big. And so we had like, upwards of 140 applicants that we had to sift through and somehow whittle down to the people we got. A lot of people in this call actually were like in our top, which was like really fun to see. Our winner actually was the like number one guy, and Sarah the number one girl. So like kind of funny polar ends of the spectrum there. I'm trying to think of like other tidbits. I think something I haven't really talked about is Sarah being Claire's, such a good friend. It was so brutal when she was the first one gone. Even before she was gone that first week, we thought we had a dud of a season that first week. We're like, okay, number one casting choice that we need on this show is Sarah. She brings everything to it. She even went through an actual interview process too, even though we knew, we were like, okay, we're casting her, obviously. But we had so much prospect for her. We were so excited. And when there were rumors that she was going first, we legitimately thought, like, you took out the best TV first, like we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. And hopefully, or luckily, they all proved us wrong. And Sarah also got her.
Kind of. Just kidding. It was good.
George, who was? I was just going to ask George, was it you or Claire that came up with it first, or was it the same idea at the same time? Do you know? I want to know who had the very first, like, who had the first thought.
I think what it was I had always thought of doing it in college because I had watched Maryland from its inception, and I was even like in communication with the host, and I had talked with that mutual friend of me and Claire, and she just had the same idea because she was such a big fan. So I don't think either of us like came up with it first. I think we just had the ideas floating around and never really like put it together. And now that we had two people do it, we're like, okay, well, now we're set. Like, we got to do this,
Yeah, so the mutual friend really connected. They both were thinking it, but the mutual
Really?
friend made them a partner.
Yeah, who's this mutual
together.
friend? I feel like they need to get some. They need to get some cred.
Yeah, her name's Mick. She worked with me at the ice arena, Yosta Ice Arena, and I don't even think she's like I think she is now actually a bigger fan of like these shows.
Yeah, she wasn't at the time.
Yeah, and so Mick was like, she's always talking to me about it, and but then she was just like, you're a psycho about this, and I have another psycho friend. why don't you two connect? And I'm like, screw it. All right, cool. And the first time I ever met Claire was filling like 1,000 water balloons at the for that first day in the summer.
Wait, sorry, quick question, George. You say you met Claire at the first challenge, the first day?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I never knew that either.
Yeah, we had actually FaceTimed, obviously a lot. We had done a lot of the interviews together and stuff, but like, I think she was away for the summer, and we had started coming up with the ideas over the summer. So there wasn't really a way,
Right.
for that to happen. But actually, I think Sarah's interview was done with Claire because they were together.
Yeah.
Where were you guys? I forget where you guys were.
We were in northern Michigan. Claire's family has like a house on one of the islands up there.
Okay. Yeah, so it was so funny too, because in that interview, she was like, okay, it was sitting down, this formal thing. I'm like, you're in the same house as Claire, like you're gonna come on. But yeah, I
nervous. I didn't know. She wouldn't tell me.
Really? Oh,
she was like, we have 150 people.
You were a lot. Come on. But yeah, I'd never met her in person, and there it is.
That's crazy.
I remember just being stunned at like how many. I guess for some reason I just assumed that there wouldn't be that many super fans and people would play it just for fun. And so I was surprised by how many people were so into it. Which I didn't even find out.
Seek it out unless they were a total nerd.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wasn't that surprised.
I remember finding out.
I thought it sounded super fun. So
I definitely had that same when I saw the application. I was like, oh, like this is perfect for me, but like who else is gonna do this? Like I'm gonna be the only one there that's like really seen the show, because I was a newer-ish fan. Like I think like beginning of college was when I sort of like really started binging the episodes. So I'd only been a fan for a couple of years, but when I saw the application before my junior year, I was like, oh, this is perfect for me. Like I'm, just become a super fan. Like, this is the thing for me. Like, I don't know who else is going to do this, because I hadn't met anybody that knew Survivor. So I assumed like those people weren't out there and they didn't exist, but little did I know, thankfully 150 of them applied and I got to play with a bunch of them. So
Thal and Tarowski, can you guys talk a little about like when you guys applied? Like, did you know the other one was applying? Like, George, did you know they both? Did you know they were roommates? Like, what all went into all of that?
Let them talk first, and then I'll get to my reaction.
I think chronologically, what happened is, I believe it's my friend Anna, who's friends with Tarowski as well, who saw it on some Facebook like Michigan group and commented and tagged me, and then I cleverly immediately went and tagged Tarowski on the exact same post, which I'm pretty sure like Leia or Brittany found later on, like way down in the season, that I had done that. But we both definitely knew we were both applying, and we decided it would be better to not say anything about knowing each other. There were no questions about it, so we just didn't mention it.
Yeah, we were very concerned that if George knew that we were friends, that he would not cast both of us. So we made sure to not tell him.
George, do you think would you have only cast one of them if you had known?
No, they were both, as a reveal, they were Claire and I's top two, so they were getting cast no matter what, which is hilarious. The thing was the one issue we did have when casting was the fact that there were a couple of those like connections, and we didn't want to have too many of it. Maryland, we saw, especially in newer seasons, was definitely dominated by almost everybody knowing each other, because like it's such a smaller community and most of the cast were like living near each other. Austin, the host, he was like their RA, I think, and so he like cast a lot of those people together. And so sometimes that can be kind of confusing for the audience. And since this was like a newer idea online, I wanted to almost make that a twist in of itself. Like obviously college, it's always going to have these connections, but we want to make it as close to the real game as possible, and then the twist be that casting thing. And so we had three different versions of that. One, Angela and her boyfriend at the time both applied, and so we were dealing with that. We're like, okay, do we want to cast them both? If we cast Angela, we have to cast him, but she was way better and he was kind of like, so we were like, all right, we're gonna get Angela. And so she got on there. You can actually see him, I think, on the, I don't want to talk about this, they're not together anymore. Okay, anyways, so that was the thing. Then we had Leia and Cooper, who I don't even think we asked about it. I think they just had mentioned it in their casting process. And so we knew they knew each other. So we were already dealing with, okay, do we want to cast 4 people to, that know each other like that? And we ended up only having the 2. And then these guys come along and they also say that. So we actually, I think when they had told us, we had already decided what the tribes were going to be. We did it kind of based on like personality types and stuff like that. And it was funny because they were on the same tribe together and Leia and Cooper were on different tribes. And we thought, like, do we want to change that, up now that we know that those 2 know each other? And we thought it was a better idea not to, because then we could have the idea of, okay, 2 people that know each other on different tribes and then 2 people that know each other on the same tribe and get a different dynamic. So no, it wouldn't have changed our casting process. Would we have been more prepared? Maybe. Those bastards definitely, got one on us, but whatever.
That was exactly our plan.
Whatever.
With all these years have passed, season 1 was filmed almost 5 years ago. Does it surprise you guys at all that there's still like a staying power to it, that people are still watching it? The first episode of season 1 is almost 20,000 views on YouTube, which is honestly quite a bit. And, speaking empirically, it's far and away probably the second biggest Survivor, a college Survivor besides Survivor Maryland. Did that surprise any of you guys? Is it cool? Is it weird? I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Not surprising to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And Survivor also just has an insane staying power in general. Like the format is just addicting and insidious in some way. I mean, this real show's on season 43. Like this shit's going on forever and it's just going to keep expanding. And I also think George and Claire did such a good job with the first season and like created such a strong foundation. And the season I think just turned out really well. So it makes a lot of sense that like it found its own fandom and that's continued throughout.
Yeah. I think we got also incredibly lucky. And I said that like almost immediately after the season was wrapped, because I think we were given not only the best cast we could have possibly asked for, but every week something was absolutely nutty. I think we had like 6 or 7 tie votes. Like we had a rock draw. We had like a unanimous decision to take Liz out. Like it was just like utterly insane what we were given here. So after like starting at the beginning, it was definitely really scary, especially with the first boot. And you don't really know if these people are, even the cast themselves, are going to be involved mentally with her through the whole thing. But I agree with Thal, like I think especially with like online Survivor, I mean, like people do like branch steals all the time. The thing where like, they just like randomly put some names into a generator and decide a Survivor season. Like people will spend hours looking at that. So maybe they'll spend hours looking at, a nicely edited together show that we put together over a whole semester. And yeah, I couldn't believe the cards we were dealt there.
Didn't you guys have a favorite memory of Survivor Michigan? One thing, or like, I don't know, just
Sarah?
whatever. Yes, Sarah.
Walking up. No, I mean, it was cool. I remember being really excited by an alliance meeting and like having 5 people together chatting and like planning a move. I thought, because I feel like that was kind of the one Survivor experience I really got to do, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. So I loved the idea of like being in an alliance. And at the time I thought I had no idea how much other Survivor stuff was out there. So I really thought this was like a once in a lifetime opportunity to like build an alliance with people I don't know and like vote someone out. So that was great. That espresso royale will always have a place in my heart.
Not there anymore though. It's a different.
Oh yeah. Oh, rip.
Wait, no, it's one on. Is that one? Are all of them gone? Are all
Yeah,
of
the
them?
there were like
pandemic.
5 of them on
The
campus.
pandemic like took out the whole. There's no espressos
I
anymore.
didn't realize the one
They're
on State
but-
Street was gone.
I know.
Yeah, they're both still coffee shops, but they're not espressos anymore.
They knew they had peaked. They had already peaked. They made it on YouTube. They were out there.
It was after Sarah actually had that meeting at Espresso. That's when they knew, it was all downhill from there, basically.
I pack it up.
I want to hear the other favorite stories. Is there anything that are...
I'd say either probably a tie between day one and just like once the realization hit that like, oh wait, like this is real. Like I have to start making decisions. Like what do I say about this? Like how much information do I reveal? And then like after like when do I leave? Who do I go talk to? It's like, oh, all of a sudden like all these, I've watched all these episodes on TV and now I actually have to make these strategic decisions that I thought would just come so easily. And now it's like, wait, do I tell people that I talked to Cam? Like, how much do I reveal when I talk to Cam? It's like, all these things are running through my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually real. Like now I actually have to start making some decisions. So I'd say day one, and then tied with the week that Lavana went home, just because that was such an insanely stressful week and it was terrible. But looking back, like that's all I was focused on that week. And it kept me up, every single night. And I could not focus on anything. I was just thinking about all the different conversations that I'd had. So, it was very stressful when it was happening, but that's still really memorable, just how consuming the game was for that week, because that's when things really amped up. So,
because you had all those notes. I think that was the thumbnail of the video too, is like all the different
we had, we weren't sure if Akshay was lying, we weren't sure where the idol was. So yeah, that week was a lot of different scenarios. And, I was like, okay, I have no idea how this week's going to go. And I kept trying to think like, I should be able to figure this out. Like, how can I figure this out? Like, what's the best move? But at some point I just had to be like, you know what, like there is no best move. Like we don't have perfect information. Like sometimes we just gotta, go with our gut and hope that we figured it out, but know that maybe we didn't. So
it really, the whole thing was so fun, really. I mean, I don't know if I have an answer because the experience itself was truly just joyous. Like I honestly feel like I got to live out my Survivor dream, and like I still get asked, just because I'm like the Survivor friend of the different groups, like, when are you gonna apply for a real Survivor? It's like, I kind of just already did it. It was awesome. Like I got what I wanted out of it, and none of like the kind of crazy, real bad shit. It was like small and intimate and sweet and real. And I had such a good time. It really made that semester special, and the semester after special, like sort of just living through it and getting to watch it all with friends afterwards. It was quite a great experience. If I had to find like one particular moment, I don't know. Nothing ever went really perfect for me. I'm trying to think of like the right moment, just when I thought strategically everything was falling into place. Maybe somewhere in that final 7 time when I really had everybody's ear before I totally blew it and just like fucked up every plan all at once. maybe in there where I felt like I kind of like was playing the bottom really well. I don't know. I like have some ideal version of myself as like some little strategy, king or something that I clearly wasn't. And I think at some point I fancied myself as that, and that was probably a good moment before it all came crashing down.
I guess Tarowski's is easy.
I was gonna say something else, but I think kind of getting at what other people have said is just kind of like the living it aspect of playing the game, like especially getting to do it with Thal. Just like every single night for an entire semester, we would spend like all hours of the night in his room, keeping our other roommates awake, just like plotting out every single variation of votes. And it was just very fun to do in real time. And I would also say like the tribal councils themselves, like I think as suspenseful as they were in the moment, like I definitely realized as they were happening, like how like unique and exciting they were, like the Cooper vote, and like the rock draw vote, like that one was really fun because like I kind of knew what everyone else didn't know, that Akshay was voting for Cooper, and I was like really giddy to see that play out in real time. So yeah, those would be my answers.
One thing that gets asked a lot, and a lot of these were submitted by people online also, was who would have won in a Brittany, Mitch, and Leia final three? And when I asked this to the people in the other call, I can't remember exactly what they said, but basically they thought that you guys, there was an argument over what you guys were going to say, basically. Like, I want to say,
but what did they say?
They said it would be Leia. But then Liz was saying that she thought you guys would never, that you two, the thought that the Alexes would never vote for Leia and would have voted for Brittany. And then Akshay and Cooper, I think, were saying that they would have talked you into voting for Leia or something along those lines, something like that. So like I was like, all right, well, I guess we got to see. We guess we got to ask them ourselves.
Yeah, well, just to speak for myself, Liz was correct in that assumption. I would have never voted for Leia. Not anything against her personally at this point, 5 years later, obviously, but at the time, absolutely not. And I know Liz would not have either. I don't know if she said that on her call. Like when me and Liz were still in the game, we would say to each other like, oh, can you imagine if that's the final three? Like, what in the world are we going to do? So we had come to the conclusion together that we would have voted for Brittany, and I believe so would have Kara, if I remember correctly. So that's 3 votes. And I know Thal, you can speak for yourself, but Thal would have voted for Leia. So it would have been close. It would have been one of them, but I think it's probably 4-3 one of the ways.
Mitch doesn't get any votes in this scenario. You guys don't think?
There was like a definitely irrational sort of like negativity towards Mitch on the Neela side of things that was present like throughout the game, or at least starting with the swap for some reason. Not to say he would have won if we were all like voting if that didn't exist, but I don't think he was getting many votes ever. I would have voted for Leia. Immediately upon getting voted out, I remember hearing like Cooper's whole side of the story and basically getting to hear basically about Leia's whole, like I just had no insight until she and I were probably the furthest from the game in the game. Like I hadn't, we had strategy talks, but I really never knew her game until I got voted out. And then I heard everything that night and I was like, whoa, it was like mind blowing. I was like, oh shit, she's been pulling all the strings. And George, you were like, yeah, man, like you have no idea, like, you've just been living one half of the story. Like the Maison story is crazy too, and the Leia Mitch contingent, like they were controlling everything, and they, Leia really had ears everywhere. I mean, both of them really, but I think Leia was sort of like somehow the more like the player in the pivotal position, and I was pretty convinced. I was like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. And it was also really it was personal too, because I think the way the final 7 went down, like my whole plan got ruined because of that relationship that I just didn't know about. And because Leia and Mitch were way closer than they let on, I thought that was brilliant. And I didn't see it. That was sort of like the fall of my game in a lot of ways. So Yeah, I think I would have given it to Leia. My vote, that is.
Would it have come down to what, Angela then?
I think it would have been I would have come down to Angela and Akshay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sarah,
I feel like
Sarah, what do you
Leia
think?
too.
What do you think, Sarah? Who would you have voted for? Like, I feel like you know a decent amount about how it all
Okay,
shook out.
don't take this personally, George. But I never actually watched.
How could you? I would totally understand. You got voted out first. That is a stinging,
Yeah, there was a period of time a couple years later where I tried to watch it, and I just never got through it. So I actually don't even really know the end game of what happened. So I have no idea.
That's awesome.
Going or George, what do you have something?
Well, since I was the one taught, like every person would talk to me after they wrote it out, and obviously there was like the jury group chat and stuff. Yeah, from what I do remember. Oh, did we lose Null?
He'll be back.
Oh, there he is.
Sorry, I was just blowing my nose.
Okay.
Unforgivable.
So what I remember was that, yeah, it would probably be 4-3 either way. And I think a lot of it would probably come down to how Leia talks at final tribal council, because I think what was already touched on was that like Leia and Mitch had this like huge game that was happening on the Maison side. But the issue was that Leia didn't have that communicated to any of the like old Neela people, because most of her core relationships always were on the Maison side. And so a lot of that, strategic, ability wasn't really recognized. And I think in that final tribal council situation, if she was able to own up to that game and like explain like all of her rationale, I think she definitely had a really big chance there. But I don't know which way it would go. I agree that Angela's probably one of the swing votes for sure. But I think just like with modern Survivor and like the real show, owning up to that game, explaining it all at the end, and like totally, being understanding is what gets a lot of jury votes. So I think Leia definitely has a big, probably knock, for the win there. I think she would potentially take it.
Sarah was saying she did not watch the post merge. Have any of you guys watched any of the other Survivor Michigan seasons? Or do you know anything about them really?
Not 4, Sarah?
No. I watched who was on that one? Yeah, I watched maybe 2 episodes of that one. I think I saw some of it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I know the story of that one, but
I haven't watched them. I've like jumped around, I mean, I've skimmed them, I'd say. I don't know, I couldn't get into them. But I just think that's on me. That's
put that all over marketing. Put like no one on the show
watching All Stars, right? Everybody will be watching All Stars.
Right.
Definitely be watching All Stars.
Yeah, you guys see Cooper and Leia and Sarah, Akshay back at it. So
I can't wait.
Yeah.
That's
and Sarah.
I started watching the other ones. Figured I didn't need to watch one because y'all were all gone. So
Sarah, you're on season 5 too, right?
I am, yeah, where I was.
Can't wait.
So do you guys
didn't go anywhere, so
do you guys know anything about All Stars at all? Like, do you have any idea how Sarah does or how Cooper or any of them do?
I do. I know what happens.
Yarowski, did you watch 2, 3, and 4? Did you watch any?
I did not, unfortunately. I kind of, part of that being I know what happened really in all the seasons just from like keeping in touch with some people. So, also, none of my friends were in those season 5. Like all the people that were on our season are in it. So I'll probably watch that. But yeah.
I will say, as someone who didn't get into like some of the seasons, season 3 I watched in like 2 days. I thought it was incredible.
I think three is, I think you should, if you ever do decide to give one of them a chance, do that one, because that one is wild. That's usually the recommendation I give people also.
I have watched them all. but I'm also a psycho. And I have heard from like a lot of former players or anyone in the Survivor Michigan community that's actually been on campus that is sometimes something that happens where like they don't end up necessarily watching all the seasons or getting involved in that aspect because they are so involved with all their friends playing or know all the ins and outs. They got all this stuff. So sometimes that kind of like deflates it, but it's still like really fun.
I know a decent number of people who say that it's like they found it difficult to watch after they've done it.
It's traumatic too. That was the other thing I was gonna say, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's
it's giving you flashbacks all the time, even if it's not your season,
right? Yeah. So it is hard, and it's like you're like, oh man, like I would do it like this, and you're looking at all these spots that you've been to, not espresso, but like you've to all these other places, and you're like, this is too real, it's too close. And sometimes it's really hard. So I've heard that, and that's a big reason. So
different question. Do you think you'll show it to your kids, like the first season? Like, do you think it'd be weird for your kids to be able to just watch like a semester of you in college, or like anyone like have your significant others seen it? Do you have friends who've seen it?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends and family who watched it. It was slightly less of a time commitment to them. So
Did they know you got voted out first when they watched it?
Oh yeah, they knew. I don't think anyone didn't know.
That would be rough otherwise.
Yeah, no, it was fine because
got their popcorn ready to go.
Yeah, for sure.
My parents saw season 1 and 4 and they enjoyed 4 a lot more, which is sort of the reverse of what most people say, probably because I was in 4 for a little longer too. And then my girlfriend's seen most of the episodes that I'm in, not willingly. I mean, I forced her to watch them and she watched them with me. So she doesn't like them that much. I'm not the most rootable character in them, in some of them. But yeah, so most people I know have seen it, and I have some Survivor friends at work who I message every week or every other week, and I'm like, hey, have you watched season 1 yet? And they're like, oh no, I'm watching some other stuff. I'm like, all right, we'll get around to it soon. So
I had a few friends that were watching with me at the time it was airing. My dad also was a very avid watcher. He has actually, even though I haven't, he has watched some of seasons 2 through 4. And my girlfriend, who like at the time our season was airing, we were like in the early stages of dating. I had her watch some of it. She didn't finish, and she still to this day has not. Which not cool. But yeah, that's about it.
That might be on you, Alex.
I think some of my favorite memories post putting it up on YouTube was I would get reaction videos from some people's like families, like Brittany and stuff. And there were 2 I remember distinctly though. One was, I believe Thal was recording the episode of when Liz reveals the idol to him, but Tarowski's in the background. And it is like the first, like I will never delete this video on my phone because it is so funny to see a room full of people like, laughing and, being all jovial. And they're like, wait, did she know that he was in the room? No, he didn't know. Like, it was just hilarious to see. And the other one was, I think for the Liz vote, Thal and Tarowski sent me a duel video where they recorded themselves and it was like the Liz vote, and it's just like heart-wrenching, and they're like ooh, like that was bad. I'm like, it was bad. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I definitely will absolutely show it to anybody who asks. It is I've rewatched a million times because I'll watch it with more people, and I do cringe a little bit because my editing style has obviously developed a lot farther post-graduation. But it is definitely fun to like look back because I didn't play in it, so I don't have any of the trauma. So I just get to be like, oh yeah, and at that rock vote, yeah, I had to just go like find some rocks on the ground right there and like pick them up and just be like throw them in a bag and just like hand it to. So like I love doing that too. It's like the thing when you're watching like I don't know, like Lord of the Rings, and you're like, oh, that thing he just kicked right there, yeah, he like broke his foot after he kicked that. Did you know that? Did you know? Because I have all those weird tidbits too, so that's fun.
I think the video we sent you, George, was also with like of the Liz vote was with my girlfriend, who was seeing it for the first time and just was heartbroken.
She was like, "You guys suck! Like, you guys are awful."
Yeah, she couldn't believe it.
Speaking of the Liz vote, some people were wondering, do you guys, especially like Fall, like, was there any regrets about that ever, or just in general? Like in the other Zoom call, they were all basically saying they thought it was a bad move, but I'm asking you in both, both the game move and like, the personal level. Like Liz was like, yeah, it's all forgiven now, but definitely for like a few weeks after, I was like, I am literally never speaking to this man again. Like this dude is dead to me,
Yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah. I mean, the game move is like not even a conversation. Obviously, it was a bad move. Just like statistically. Do I regret it on the whole? I mean, I regret the situation. I regret like that it got to that place and I had to make that decision. Sarah, this is gonna make zero sense for you, but basically, like I regret that I insisted that Liz play the idol on me, which I did. She should have played it on herself, obviously. And even if they had voted for me, things like the numbers, there could have been such better situations, and I was just like overwhelmed and clearly not thinking strategically. As far as the decision
you
itself,
and then you voted her out.
Sir, do you actually not know how this worked? It was even worse than that, dude. She played it. One of you guys should explain it, not me.
I knew that Liz went home in a unanimous vote, and I've seen the clip, and it seemed very sad, but I didn't realize there was an idol involved.
It was a tie vote. So she stands up and she plays her idol on Thal, and then instead the 3 votes go on her, and then their 3 votes go on to the other side.
Leia.
So, yeah, it was on Leia, and so like, tie vote, they revote, it's still a tie. So they're basically like, okay, the only people that would be going to Rocks because of immunity would be Tarowski and Brittany. And so Thal has to basically decide in that moment, do I want to send Tarowski, somebody that nobody knows is actually like really close with him, to a 50-50 chance of going home, or unanimously vote out the person that just put an idol on me? And he obviously picked the second choice there, which is brutal, and I did cry, and it was so juicy. Really good television.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. Because I'm thinking, like you said, it was like a bad move and like on paper maybe, but I'm also thinking like in the end, did getting rid of Liz help you guys? Because I feel like she was a pretty big jury threat. So like, were you two planning on voting her out at some point, or would it, like, in the end, did that make sure that Anne Alex won? Didn't end up being Thal, but maybe that ended up helping Tarowski win because Liz wasn't there, and one of you was guaranteed Final Four with Liz not there, the biggest jury threat.
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely did not help us in the moment, of course, because we were all of a sudden down 3-2, which was not a good plan by any means. But you're right, we probably could not have gone to the final 3 with her. Which I honestly thought, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really remember us talking about much. If that were to play out, if I had to guess years later, we probably would have voted her out like at 4. But that's not really something we had fully thought through at the time.
Yeah, I think it was such a fun alliance, the 3 of us. I think we were like really,
yeah, we like legit became really good friends with her. So we really enjoyed being in her alliance, so we wanted to all stay together.
But Tarowski was really like the devil on my shoulder. Just like he was deeply ruthless, which is partially what led to me getting the idol played on her, and then this situation happening. Like he had actually sort of thought through that whole thing, and I hadn't. I remember being like in the shower pre-tribal council, and him like walking into the bathroom and being like, "Yo, man. So if Tarowski, I mean, if you get the votes, or if Liz gets the votes, actually, like on the revote, like you'll have to vote her out, right?" And I'm like, man, like that's not gonna happen. Like, just shut up. Fine, okay. Like that was sort of like as much as I had thought it through, but he was like going through every scenario and had thought that through. So I'm sure we probably would have voted her out of the Final Four, knowing how like deep we were in the whole thing. But I do want to go back to your initial question, Ian, which is like, do I regret it? And the answer is, yeah. I do. I mean, I regret it. I'm just of two minds. Like, of course, I regret it because I'm living in this reality. And if I had done the other thing, maybe I would regret that. But I think my thinking at the time was like, I've been in this with Tarowski 100% of the way the whole time. And we are best friends. And that's going to last. It came way before the game. It's going to last way after the game. And part of me now thinks like, we would still be friends either way. That's the same line of reasoning could have just been like, send the guy to rocks and see what happens. And I think that would have been some also, I mean, I know it's a pretty great like television moment or whatever, what did happen, but I think it would have been pretty amazing television also if that had been like the whole season arc was like, how does Thal get to this place where he feels that he has to actually throw a vote against Tarowski basically, and whether he picked the rock or not, it would have been really interesting.
As an editing note, I basically decided like from the get-go that I would be editing most of the season, like at least with your guys' arc and Liz's arc and all that around that moment, regardless of what happened. So like if the rocks happened or Liz ends up going like in that tribal, like the day before, I'm like thinking like, this is like editor's gold here. Either way, I'm being given this like insane moment of, whatever happens. And so that was a big thing that I was asked afterwards was like, oh my God, like, how'd you find that, like that clip of Thal day, like 2 or 3, and you put in that flashback right there. You had never done any flashbacks and you put that right before the vote. And like, then everyone thought that it was potentially you sending him to rocks and all that. And then it ends up, double back. And I'm like, well, that was the first thing I edited. The first thing I got was that 1 second clip or whatever of you saying, eventually, when it comes down to it, I gotta, Tarowski's gonna be my biggest competition. I gotta take him out, because that was just like such a gold. You even had a different haircut. You were like basically bald, so it was like this great dichotomy of like your full hair now and back then it's just different. So that was brutal to watch too, just to see. But that is definitely the moment that I feel like everybody gets the most questions about.
So do you guys still think about it? Does it still bother you? Like, do you still have Survivor dreams, or have you been able to totally let it go? It doesn't bother you anymore 5 years on that you lost or won, I guess, in this case.
I think about it every now and then, like, especially when Thal and I chat these days. Like, I don't know, say we're on the phone for an hour with each other, just catching up. I don't know, at least 5 of those minutes are somewhat Survivor related, like if not more.
I would say like once a month, maybe once every 2 months. It's either season 1 or season 4. Like, oh, what could I have done differently? So it used to be like once every 2 weeks. Now it's like once every month. So not as often, but the thought obviously creeps in. Usually it's centered around watching Survivor or something Survivor coming up on my Twitter feed, and then it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it now. I don't really think about it that much anymore. I've done a lot of like other weekend Survivors, and I've been able to like have a lot of different types of Survivor experiences. So it's easier to regret games that you like do more in, I think. So although I will say, I don't know if people watch this that are planning to like do a Survivor game or a college Survivor specifically, but going into it, I thought it was like, it definitely is in a way, a season is a once in a lifetime opportunity, but there's so many other things out there also that I didn't realize at the time, that I think if I had known that, I wouldn't have been, so devastated when it ended. Because I really was a mess for like a month. Like, I dreamt about it every night for like a month, I think. And then it became like less common. But when you like get really excited for something and it doesn't go the way you want it to, I think it just like, it can really dwell with you if you think you'll never have another shot to do anything similar. So for anyone who plays in the future, don't be like me. It's not a big deal. You can do other things. So I wish I didn't like take it so hard, but at the time it was like, I could barely watch real Survivor because it was like too similar.
For me, I don't know about all these freaks who have found peace and catharsis. Think about it every fucking day. Nothing but regrets. Can't wait to go back one day. It does hurt. I feel you, Sarah. Like, I don't know. It was so intense after it ended for a while. And it still, yeah, has like a special place in my brain, like this little itch, like the two things that could have, like the two moments where if something had gone just slightly differently, like the whole game would be different. Maybe I could have won. I think about it pretty often. I feel like it was like seriously one of the best things I've ever done. I still think that, and I feel really grateful for the experience, and there's something fun about having like this deep regret and this like, damn, almost had it. There's something nice about that.
So Sarah, do you want to say anything about All Stars? Like, it's different for you than these guys that you still have, there's still more of it to come out, I guess, or how was that for you coming back to it all those years later?
All Stars it's a really fun season, and I'm excited for it to come out. I think people will enjoy it. I think there's like fun characters that are back, and it's a good time. I think everyone has a lot of fun the entire time.
It's interesting for me. You are like a new character on All Stars versus all the rest of the people who are like all fairly established. Even the ones who like went out very early in their seasons, it felt like to me that of all the people who come back on the show, you had like the most new to bring to it, because people didn't get to see you for a long time, so they don't really know all the stuff that I guess George and Claire knew you were going to do. So that to me was an exciting aspect of at least editing your stories in that one.
I felt super lucky, honestly. Like I was lucky that I was back around doing my master's, and it was super lucky that the production was willing to give me another chance when there was lots of people from later seasons that did significantly better than me. So I was very excited to have another shot.
You guys should all watch All Stars, obviously. That's why we're doing all this. I mean, it's interesting to me, despite my best efforts with, seasons 2, 3, and 4, and I'm fairly confident I'll finally get the job done with All Stars. But for seasons 2, 3, and 4, despite it all, like season 1 is still like, the iconic Survivor Michigan, and even just the It's Liz, I think will probably always be, until something crazier happens, always be like the definitive like line. Like if people who know about College Survivor and stuff, they hear Survivor Michigan, I think they think, It's Liz. And I think that all of you guys have, a sort of iconic place in the whole sagas thing. So I think people think it was really cool that you guys did this also. Like there's always so many, the biggest thing for All Stars when we like announced it and stuff was we got so many YouTube comments, about like, oh, we got to have like, I can't wait to see, Thal or Liz or, Tarowski, whoever, like people who obviously couldn't do it because they were gone. And so we thought that this would be a nice way to like, include those people, or at least get some new content out of them. Basically, if you can't see them on All Stars, you can at least hear them talk about, rehashing.
Yeah, there was no podcast when we played.
Yeah, there was.
I was not on a podcast.
Did you not get invited? Did you not
there
go
was,
on the Sam Morris one?
Yeah.
The like keep your torch lit. You didn't go on that?
Yeah.
That's a unofficial.
You did not get invited to do keep your torch lit, really?
Yeah. I knew it was okay. I did know that I knew they had something called Keep Your Torch Lit, but I thought they did that for seson 2.
No, they did it for season 1.
Well,
that's still going.
Sam's gonna be getting a message from me.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah, that is tough. Just I don't really care.
That's brutal. I'm sure you can get him to do it for All Stars. So yeah, I don't know. Anyone want to plug anything? Survivor Buffalo, whatever other projects you guys are working on. I don't know.
One day I'm going to do a Brant Steele alt universe and put it on YouTube, but it's a work in process. So
that's fun.
Follow my Twitter, and then whenever I get around to doing it, it'll be really cool. So,
well, yeah, thank you guys for coming on, and it's great to see everybody. And stay tuned for more stuff throughout the summer. As we continue our journey towards All Stars, which I will continue.
When's this shit dropping, dude?
It's dropping in the fall. I'll if you see the no, the fall is the date. I'm very confident though that it will be in the fall. I've like stuck to that the entire time. It's
getting war flashbacks. People are like, when's this dropping? When's this happening?
Yeah.
What's the date of this? What are we doing? I feel you.
Yeah, no, I get people asking me that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, Ian, the trailer really hyped me up, and thank you for like holding the torch for these past seasons. It's really cool that's continued. I know you're a huge part of that, and appreciate you putting this together today.
So yeah, that's it. That's been the Survivor Michigan Victor's Valiant Season 1 reunion. You can check it out, Season 1 on YouTube to this day. Help Episode 1 get to 20,000 views. That'd be pretty dope. So always a good season. I've seen it a couple times, and it always plays. So
just skip episodes 3 through 5. Seriously.
Fun fact about the title, Jonathan actually said it first.
You stole it from him?
Yeah.
Oh my god, no!
That's the biggest reveal we've had on this.
All right, read this season.
We heard it here first.
Wow.
Jonathan said days off somewhere. I don't know. And I was like, you should say that on a confessional. I don't know if you did or not, but I did.
Oh my god.
The snipe of the century, Sarah Gallagher
The whole
from the
season's just
rafters.
null and void now. It just doesn't count. So
Rob.
Yeah, the whole series actually, the entire seasons 1 through however many it's been rescinded.
Unreal.